Suddenly, thousands of people flooded the streets of Australia with placards in their hands, slogans filled with anger, and faces clearly showing resentment. The event was named March for Australia. These protests were not only against migrants but specifically targeted Indians. The question arises, why? Why was the Indian community the center of these protests? Recently, rallies took place in several major cities of Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, and others. In Sydney, around 8,000 people gathered. In Melbourne, the situation escalated to such an extent that clashes broke out between the protesters and the pro-Palestine rally participants. This was not a normal protest, but one driven by a deep and strategic thinking. Posters and flyers promoting these rallies clearly stated, "Mass migration has broken the relationships in our community," and it was directly blamed on Indian migrants for this alleged mass migration. Now, let's go back in time. Who exactly led these protests? According to reports, the rally in Sydney was led by a woman who calls herself Bec Freedom. She openly stated that this movement is to save Australian heritage. However, when her true thoughts came out, it became clear that the real agenda was to promote white heritage. In Melbourne, the leader of the neo-Nazi group, Thomas Sewell, delivered a speech from the steps of the Parliament House. In other words, this movement was not just against migration, but also a platform for promoting racial superiority. Now the question arises, is Australia really going through an immigration crisis? The data tells a different story. According to government figures, the net overseas migration in 2023-24, that is the number of people coming from abroad, was 4,46,000. This number was lower than the previous year. Why was the Indian community targeted? The reason is clear. In the last 10 years, the number of Indians in Australia has rapidly increased. By 2023, about 8,45,000 people of Indian origin were living in Australia. This number has doubled in just 10 years. Today, Indians make up more than 10% of Australia's migrant population and nearly 3% of the total population. The Indian community is also leading in education and employment. Official data shows that people of Indian origin are more highly educated and economically stronger than other communities. This success, this rapidly growing number, is causing discomfort for some groups. And this is where the seed of hatred against Indians was sown. But the truth is that just like Indians, Greek and Italian migrants faced similar accusations in the past. History is repeating itself. The real issue lies elsewhere. Australia is currently grappling with 4 major crises. 1. Rising housing and rental prices. 2. The impact of climate change. 3. Gender inequality. 4. Economic insecurity. These issues have created fear and dissatisfaction among the common people. And when fear grows in society, the easy way out is to blame someone from the outside. This is what is happening in Australia. The real reasons are domestic crisis, but the blame is being shifted onto migrants. The most dangerous aspect is that through these protests, the neo-Nazi ideology is once again raising its head. The same ideology that destroyed the world in the last century. Australia's intelligence agencies also agree that such groups pose a serious threat to the country's security. Recently, Parliament passed strict laws against hate-spreading symbols and terrorist activities. But here's the point to ponder. Are migrants, especially Indians, really a burden? The answer is absolutely not. The Indian community's contribution to Australia's economy is immense. Education, health, IT, and business, in every field, Indians made their mark through hard work and talent. They are not just migrant, but partners in Australia's progress. Today's question is not just about the rights of migrants, but the soul of Australia. Will this country remain a multicultural society where anyone can move ahead through their hard work and talent? Or will it become a field for hatred politics in the name of white heritage? The picture is clear. Politics of fear and insecurity has existed in every era. Once, the Greeks and Italians were targeted. Today, it's Indians, and tomorrow it could be someone else. But the truth remains that migrant communities have always strengthened Australia and not weakened it. Now it's the time for this program's Sunday special segment, The World Around Us, where we will discuss other important international news. A US federal court in Boston has ordered the Trump administration to reverse the cut in research grants awarded to Harvard University. Judge Alison Burroughs called it an ideologically motivated attack and declared it illegal. She said that the government claimed the action was to stop anti-Semitic activities, but in reality it was aimed at targeting the university and violating its freedom rights. The judge also made it clear that no arbitrary political agenda should influence federal research. The administration's move to cut more than $2 billion in grants was seen as a violation of Harvard's First Amendment rights and as retaliation. This order restores the existing funds and halts future cuts. NATO chief Mark Rutte recently stated that Russia cannot decide whether Western countries can send troops to Ukraine or not. He said, "Ukraine is an independent and sovereign country. Russia should not have a say in this matter." Rutte added that Russia has no right in this issue. A group of nearly 30 countries led by France and the UK discussed deploying security forces in Ukraine to support a potential peace agreement. The group has determined the number of soldiers and is trying to include the US in this plan. Rutte also stated that it is crucial to prevent Russia from becoming too powerful. Russia has consistently opposed the deployment of any Western troops. India and Singapore recently issued a roadmap to strengthen their comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong held bilateral talks in New Delhi where they discussed expanding cooperation in all areas between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi said that India-Singapore relations are not limited to diplomacy alone. The two countries have decided to enhance cooperation in artificial intelligence, quantum and other digital technologies. Modi emphasized the need to fight terrorism together. Singapore's PM Wong said that this partnership is even more important in times of global instability. Several agreements were signed after the talks, including a digital asset innovation agreement between the Reserve Bank of India and Singapore's Monetary Authority. Viewers, we end the discussion here and note today's question. The resurgence of the neo-Nazi ideology in Australia is a threat not only to migrants but also to global peace and democratic values. In this context, explain the challenges posed by the resurgence of far-right extremist movements to international security systems.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.